Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of In the Spotlight. I'm Maxine Crow, your host, and this is where we shine a light on entrepreneurs, SMEs, and innovators. I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by Ash Hardman today from 2B Media. Ash, how are you this evening?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for asking. How are you?
I'm really well, and I'm so happy
Good.
that you've joined us, and we're gonna ask you a few questions just to learn about yourself and your journey. So why don't you start by just introducing yourself to the audience and tell us what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I'm Ash Hardman, founder and director of 2B Media. Um, what prompted me to set up this company was I actually had a really bad experience working for a company a few years ago, and it was a bit of an ongoing thing. It's renowned for it, and me and a friend at the time that was also working for the company, we ended up meeting up over COVID, and we just kind of reflecting on the whole process and thought, what if there was a company that really did nurture the employees and listened and gave people what they want, whilst also making you know great work, filming great things, and just inspiring the employees rather than putting them through this you know really painful process of advancing in the industry and gaining experience. So but it was gatekeeping really. Anyway, so we set up the company. Matt sadly isn't part of the company anymore, so it's just myself. But yeah, so that's how 2B started.
Where did your name come from? I'm
2B Media.
curious.
That it was Matt had already had this idea. I had another company at the time called Purple Lake Productions that was
Mhm.
kind of inspired by a short story read by one of my teachers when I was a kid, or made up by a teacher. I'm not sure. But
Yeah.
and we just kind of thought that 2B Media just sounded a bit more professional, whereas Purple Lake Productions was more, I think, what you'd imagine like a movie company to
Yeah.
be, which is wasn't where we were at the time. So
Yeah.
went with 2B Media.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a lovely introduction to yourself. Let's just talk a bit about your journey and what were the initial challenges that you faced when starting the venture?
Initial challenges, I would say for me, one of the reasons that I set up the company as well was that I just couldn't find an in. I was a director, couldn't find any work, and I just kind of got fed up of asking for permission. So we just, made our own. So sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
I'm
okay.
going on a tangent.
It's all right. Same.
I ramble.
So, what were the initial challenges that you faced when setting up your venture?
That's it. Just trying to find work. No one really gives you an opportunity, so decided to make my own. And then after that, it was, okay, got a company, £12 on the government website. Great, now I'm a company. Um, Now I've got to prove I can do what I've set out to do. And so finding the clients, building the business. I think one downfall a lot of educational systems teach creativity.
Yeah.
I studied performing arts, studied theatre, but I wasn't really taught the business. So I
Mm,
think you're trying to advance. In my case, as a director, filmmaker, and still, everyone's figuring out the business as we go along. So yeah, that was, I'd say, the first big hurdle.
yeah. I'd say as well with those challenges because you find as an SME and an entrepreneur, you're wearing a lot of different hats, and
Hmm.
it might be a while as you're establishing that you don't end up having like a salesperson or someone to do finance, and so you find yourself flipping from. What advice would you give to people that are starting out? And I know that you're interested in uh, young entrepreneurs as well, so we'll talk about that in a moment.
Cool. What advice would I give? Just do it. Just take the first step. A friend of mine gave me some really good advice once, and I wish I'd taken this advice a lot sooner. Actually, um, you just got to do something, and then you reap the rewards. You can't just expect an opportunity to come to you. You've really got to go out, do it. Doesn't matter if you're inexperienced. It doesn't matter if you don't, in this case, don't have the right kit. You've just got to make that first step, and then after that, that's when you get the confidence. And even as you go through the day, you gain more confidence, and you upskill yourself in different areas. But you've just got to go and do it. And I started around 30, and I was just thinking, what am I doing? I'm working for other people, and it's not really getting me where I want to be.
Yeah.
So what can I do about that? So what I actually did was I left a job, and I started working in a cafe. And I thought, right, I'm in a job that I'm in hospitality, and I won't shy from hard work. So I thought, right, I can work in hospitality, which is a good career for people, but not the career I want. And I know that I'm going to be, it's going to allow me the time. I have money coming in, and it's really going to give me the opportunity to just kind of like focus on what I need to be focusing on, which was setting up TV media.
Yeah. Yeah. So burning the candle at both ends, which we're not.
Yeah. And
not strangers to. Have you had any pivotal moments in your life and in your career that you can share and inspire our audience with?
Yeah, I'd definitely say that was one of them. Around the time I got married as well, so there were a lot of big changes in my life then. But I like change. I kind of embrace change quite a lot, and I think you kind of have to in our position. But yeah, so that a lot of life changes, but I like feeling like I'm moving. I like feeling progress happen. But then I'd say more recently it was when I got a new camera for the business, and that really scared me actually, because then I had this camera that I felt like I should be making a certain quality, and I had a lot of insecurities around myself, because you're working in so many ways, you're wearing so many different hats that sometimes you just kind of feel like one of the hats might not fit properly. So for anyone that knows me, it's a hat analogy there. But yeah, so that was a big one. But then you've just got to kind of step into it, and you've just got to kind of like take charge of yourself and just make that move, I suppose.
Yeah. So how, I know we touched on this in a previous conversation, but how is sort of technology and AI kind of is it impacting on you, or what's your view in terms of video production and what's happening with technology?
It's such a big question at the moment, and I think there might be a place for it. Personally, obviously, I'm gonna kind of like fight against it a little bit, but there's no reason why I can't use it to my advantage. I just feel like, as a baseline, I think when you're working with a creative company, it should be that, and you're working with people. And at the moment, anyway, I don't feel like, you could go on ChatGPT. I did this for my baby niece. I've write me a bedtime story, and it asked me a few questions, and it really shoehorns these prompts in there to the point where it's quite obvious and really on the nose. So in terms of storytelling, which is an art form that we as a species have developed with, stories really resonate. So that stands out a mile off. But then, you can't give AI a camera and say, turn up on set and shoot this, highlight this specific thing, unless you set loads of cameras up. But then, I don't know, I just kind of feel like the quality would suffer when all you really want is to tell stories, get in there and feel a closeness to somebody. And I think that's where a lot of these things generate from. Sorry.
No, that I completely resonate, and I'm a real strong believer in the human skills, and no matter how much technology we have, there's always going to be an element of that human interaction that we crave. I'm absolutely fascinated. Your strapline is production with purpose. Just
Yeah.
talk to us about that. Just share what your purpose is.
Yeah. Everything with purpose, I suppose. You know, if you're like going back to stories, you know, telling, you know, when you're working with businesses and brands, you know, the underlying thing is you are telling their story and you've got to do that justice. So that, you know, give that some purpose. But also, you know, we like to give back. So we plant trees monthly and plant trees for every project that we complete. I'm also going to start offering clients the opportunity to, you know, would you like to plant some trees, you know, and maybe give a recommendation, which is, you know, surprisingly cheap as well. And I think, and not to greenwash anything, you know, like I think it's quite easy to say, oh yeah, you know, sustainable. But I think for what 2B is doing at the minute, we are offsetting our emissions, which I think is great. But then again, it's only me and then whichever team I hire for the project. So, you know, but it's a start, you know, and onwards from there. But everything with purpose, you know, obviously in this case it's production, but you know, I think when you forget the purpose, then you just it's kind of aimless.
Yeah, yeah. I know you talked about the colleges and the fairs. Do you want to just share with the audience your aspirations in terms of youngsters and their development? Because I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, I actually got this banner for there's a college close by. One of the projects I was working on, the client wanted to engage younger audiences, and I came up with the idea of maybe, you know, reaching out to a local college, having them help out. There's you know, a media course on there as well. I got in touch and they absolutely jumped on it, and so I had this quick turnaround of having to get this banner, and I thought I'd get the bigger one, and it nearly touches the ceiling. I just feel like I got it out, and me and my wife were just like, what have I done? But so, you know, but it didn't turn up to the day after anyway. So I was just kind of like in this hole, you know, just stood there sticking out like a sore thumb. But hey ho. Anyway, so the whole point, and it's an ongoing thing now as well, that they're really pushing for experience. So they are looking for each of their students at this particular college has to do 35 hours over the duration of the course of you know, work experience. And so I think it's a really you know, there are a few different courses that probably won't work, but for the young people that I think you know, and this goes back to the reason I set up the company in the first place, you know, the students there, you know, it's working class area similar to where I've come from, and I think it's just hard to enter the industry sometimes. And if and I remember when I was at college, you know, I remember being with some of my inspiring tutors, and they would bring, you know, their colleagues in or old friends that work in the industry, and I just felt like so inspired by that. Isn't it just a fantastic thing that someone's gonna come in and share their knowledge? And even if it's just quite basic, you know, it just gives you the opportunity to wrap your head around something. And once you demystify an industry, or, you know, because, you know, even sometimes now I feel a little bit jaded by things, but, you know, you just got to understand that it is just something you have to work through. And the sooner they understand that, and the sooner they demystify and, you know that, you know, everything is manageable if you just approach it in the right way, such as setting up light stands. You know, one of the students, I handed them my monitor and they over tightened the mount, but, you know, that was, you know, and the bracket bent a little bit, but that was a lesson learned. You know, we've got to do them to a point, tighten it, put it down, and there you go. And so just little things like that I think is probably really going to build up a bunch of skills for them.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think you just starting with one college, and then hopefully it just expands, and your that sharing just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah, love that. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this question, but where would you see 2B Media in the next 5 years?
Wow, hopefully running itself. I think it's difficult to at the moment, I've started partnering with people so I can extend the services of Tubi Media. I think quite often video production is at the tail end of a thought, an idea, via marketing or branding or otherwise. So starting to expand on the skills that we can offer. So I've partnered with a friend Taylor who does a lot of motion design. Partnered with a woman called Hannah that does copywriting, and there's a few more. But hopefully, people will then start to notice for those things as well, aside from just video production and marketing. But I think I want to make some really cool, impactful bodies of work, and that just really kind of make a difference. So as long as I'm doing that, I really don't mind where it ends up.
So is there a specific industry that you focus on, or is it whoever has a requirement? So who would be your target ideal customers?
It's a constant argument I have with myself, to be honest. And it's one that comes up all the time. I'm quite open to working with anyone, that needs video production. We make adverts, lead generation videos. I've worked on quite a lot of corporate events as well. But I think the ideal client is for people that really want to make the difference, with purpose, production with purpose. So, sustainable companies, people that have the same ethos. I think rather than narrowing down and niching on the industry, I've tried to niche down on the people I actually work with, and that seems to have worked really well.
That's good. That's really good to know. So what's the best piece of advice that you've received as an entrepreneur?
Focus on one thing at a time. So at the time I was, and this is, some advice I could probably go back to be honest, but I was trying to set up too many ventures at the same time. And again, you're already wearing so many hats.
Yeah.
So, you don't know this, but since moving to London, I'd entertained children's parties, which then turned into kind of like filming at these parties.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to do is bring all these things back round to filming stuff, but it's still just kind of too much, so doing one thing at a time. So get Tubi to the place where we see it going, and then, then move on. But yeah, one thing at a time.
Yeah, I struggle with that as well. And when you get these ideas just pop in as creatives, that I think it's probably our I don't know what the word is when it's your I can't think of the
downfall.
word. Not downfall, because it's a good thing to be creative and have ideas. Yeah. It's not nemesis. Oh gosh, it'll come back.
It'll come to you as you put your head to the pillow tonight. It'll come to you.
Yeah, I'll be like, damn, it's too late now. That's what it was. Ash, how do you maintain a work-life balance, especially with the demands of running your business?
Yeah, that's another interesting one, because I feel like I'm pretty good at, putting the work aside. I've got an office here, thankfully, so I'm not working from the living room like, maybe a lot of people were previously, or even now after COVID. But so I know I can just unplug the hard drives, turn off the setup, and we're done. But also, like, running a business, I manage my own time, and I think it's just, and I just really encourage people to go for it if they can be self-employed. You can just manage the time, and sometimes, I don't need, I can just get some important things done for myself in the morning, and so sometimes it kind of like all melds together, but you just you have a task list, and I really like the fluidity of that. So, like last night I was up quite late, editing a new show reel. So, but then during the day I did other things, And
Yeah.
so I think I just kind of like take it as it comes. I also come from a family business. My mum and dad own an off license, so I'm
Mhm.
used to, I guess, like living at work as well, or working at home.
Yeah, I get that because years ago I was a landlady of a pub,
Oh
and so
wow,
yeah, it was only for a year. My daughter was very very young as well. So it just shows how long ago it was. And yeah, that it's a lot of work. It's a
yeah,
lot of work when you see. I mean, an off license, even the demands of an off license, I'd imagine, um, it's a lot of hours.
it is. But I won't go into the family business just in case they're watching. But it's
Gave you
a life's process.
It's given you a good work ethic, no doubt, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you ensure that you stay on the go as the go-to expert in this field, or how will you
Hmm.
ensure it?
Yeah, I think, like we were talking about AI. I don't want to. I think you've got to keep your ear to the ground, and like I don't want to become a dinosaur and shun AI, and then all of a sudden I'm like out of touch, because things
Mm.
have moved forward. But right now, it doesn't really make sense for me to be using something like AI. But I don't know if have you seen The Creator yet?
I
The
haven't,
movie.
but there is in video I've heard of and used a couple of times.
Right. So the premise is that like America has banned AI. That, I mean, that would be a great turnout. But actually filmed on the same camera I have here. But how do we stay? I think working. I'm part of a really good couple of groups. One for the industry and another one for businesses.
Mm.
And there are a lot of experts there on different things. And so it's just really nice that I think, and my advice, if I was to give advice on that, I'd just say, make friends with people that you work with, and just enjoy talking about those things. I mean, I do anyway, but
Yeah,
that's one way that I keep up with a lot of things.
yeah, yeah. And I guess do you find that you have a lot of competition in video production?
Yeah, I mean, anyone can pick up the camera and say, look, I'm a videographer, you know, um, and I think you're getting a lot of competition with things like this now. The
Yes,
new
that is
the
true.
new iPhone films in raw footage, basically, so you can, if you've got a hard drive, plug that into the phone. But then again, there's a craft, and I think if somebody has a craft and they genuinely, I think what I'm really doing, I think, without realizing it, is I'm holding up, you know, a film company versus like AI and new technology that does things for you. And on one hand, you've got craft, and on the
Yeah,
other hand, you've got automation. And I think people have got to ask themselves, what do they want? Do they want something cheap? Like if you were to go to someone and like influencer marketing, for example,
yeah,
I'm not sure what the prices are on that, but in my mind, that's just kind of like cheap and user generated, which has
yeah,
a place. And on the other hand, you've got a film company that like knows the ins and outs of a production workflow and is
yeah,
really going to put their heart and soul into, or I'd hope so, into making you something. But to answer your question, the competition, I think, yeah, so many people can go and film something, but I think it takes a particular person to make a particular project.
yeah,
And so,
yeah,
me and you could set out with a camera each and go and film something and edit it, and it's going to turn out completely different no matter the topic. So I think you've really just got to go with, the people. Do you see yourself working with that company, that person that you're going to be investing, sometimes months at a time together, or are you just going to kind of go for like a really, I don't know, like sometimes it comes down to price. You go for a cheap option and then you turn out,
yeah,
you don't even like the project in the first place.
yeah,
And for me, that's storytelling. You know, the competition, I guess, would be how has someone told a story differently than I have.
Yeah.
You can't really argue with that.
No, I guess not. But if people wanted to use your services and just explore a bit more around 2B Media, how would they contact you, and do you have any reels and things that they can see and of your work that we can post after the show?
Absolutely, yeah, thank you. So our Instagram is at 2B Media Official, and that's the same on TikTok, although I'm not as active on there. Website is 2bmedia.co.uk, and email would be contact@2bmedia.co.uk.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, but I think you'll find most of our up-to-date work on Instagram. It gets updated a lot more than the websites.
Yeah. And then, okay, so just a few words now. Is there a book, podcast, or resource that has been particularly influential for you?
I think I hate to jump on the Stephen Bartlett train, but his latest book, you know, I've listened to some of his podcasts over the years, and it's just such a. He just puts it in basically, you know, and frankly, without over explaining everything. And I think that's probably needed a lot more. There's so much noise. He's really, you know, the way he is and the way he wrote the book is really a reflection of the times we're in as well. You know, we just want the information and put you know, give it to me nicely, I suppose. But so yeah, Diary of a CEO, the book, that was a really good book. Also,
what's on yours? I can't actually see the top of your bookshelf.
No, yeah. Usually the laptop's over there, but I needed to get this big bloody banner out. So turn it around.
It's a good banner. I like it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I've got Audible, so I just kind of like go through a lot of the books. There's actually a really good one that I want to shout out. If you bear with me 2 seconds, it is called Alchemy.
Alchemy. Oh, I've heard of that one.
It's a marketing
Who's the
book.
author? Alchemy.
I'm trying to find it. Oh man, sorry.
No, it's all right.
Listening, waiting for me.
No, it's all right. I'm going to see if I can do it put it on a banner.
Listening to this one on Spotify, actually. Oh my god, I will.
It's all right.
Rory Sutherland. Sorry for everyone. Rory Sutherland, Alchemy.
Rory
Sutherland.
Rory Sutherland. Make a note of that because I love listening to Audible as well.
Yeah, and also another really good one that I listened to a little while back that actually, I think for me, it gave me a way to sell my services rather than just a framework of my own company as well. It's Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. That was a really interesting book.
I'm writing it down. Building a Story Brand.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Donald Miller. Yeah. Good.
But Diary of a CEO is a really good book. And you know, and I like a book when you can really see yourself in it as well, and you know, it kind of just confirms a lot of the decisions that you feel yourself making.
And that just really homes in. It comes from their experiences as well, and they've walked in our shoes as entrepreneurs, I guess, so they're able to articulate and share their journey in order to help us and rise us up. Do you do like events or webinars or anything?
I mean, 2B Media specific? Not at the moment, no. But I am starting to book myself up for all kinds of like networking events and things like that. But I don't personally throw any of my own. I'm just taking advantage of everyone else's. Like this.
any of the audience, if you have podcasts and if you have speaking engagements that you feel that in fact Ash could actually be your videographer at, then that would be really cool. Any final words of wisdom for the audience?
I think for those that are maybe thinking of starting their own business venture, go and do it. You know, just have like, you can just have like a basic plan, and you've just got to make a start. I think anyone that's going for, thinking of using video production, I know it's like a really big thing that everyone feels like they've got to do, and oh, I don't know what to do, and like, where do I start?
Yeah.
Again, you can just start. I think to begin with, even if it's just user generated on your phone, make things like this, I guess, like LinkedIn Live. You've done a fantastic job, and somebody can just literally talk to their webcam. And then if you're thinking about really taking a dive, you want an advert for your product or service, give me a shout.
Yeah, I love the fact that you do reels as well. There's lots of young you're from the theatre background, so
Yeah.
the musical theatre and those guys coming through studying the craft. I think that's an area as well. I'm passionate about that because my daughter's in musical theatre, so I have a bit of
Cool.
towards it. Yeah.
Nice. No, I was never really a singer or a dancer, but boy, could I act. No, I actually stopped because I just hated being watched. I felt like one day I just kind of like felt myself. I think I like fluffed up a line. It really put the fear of God in me, and I was just like, you know what, maybe this isn't my thing. And actually, then I did my master's in directing.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe this will help me with my communication with the director and really seeing the fuller picture. And then I just kind of fell in love with that. And then I think later on, not being able to find opportunities that I wanted in theatre even, and it not really paying well, when you're coming like fresh out of university, I thought, hey, I'm just going to go and, I worked with people with learning disabilities, teaching performing arts, and that was a baked bean company. That was a fantastic job. And then I had the opportunity to set up. Sorry if I'm rambling, but
no, not at all.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
I had the opportunity to set up a filmmaking group there, which really kind of, from my second year in uni, I did a wild module in improv for screen. And I really fell in love with the process more than theatre. But I thought, I'm the first person in my immediate family to go to uni. I don't really want to kind of upset them by switching courses. So I stuck with theatre. But yeah, so Baked Bean Company really gave me an opportunity to start, growing in a way that, I'd always really wanted to. And then everything's just kind of, gone from there. Self-taught as well. I didn't really study film. Just stories and people.
It just goes to show you, though, that the route into what you want to become and what your purpose and your passion is, it's not always about going to university. It's not always about studying, or there's all different ways to get to where you want to be. I guess is the message there. And we're at the top of our time. It's just been really, really great speaking with you, and
thank you.
Learning about your business. And I want to just keep an eye on what you're doing. Just reach out as well if you just share with us who you're looking for, and we'll just make sure that we give you a voice. And if you want to come on again in a few months' time just to let us know what you're doing, then you're more than welcome.
If there's space for me, she's filling up fast, everybody. Maxine is. And also, thank you for having me as well and giving me the opportunity. And I've never done a LinkedIn Live before. I get really nervous talking in front of people, but you've honestly made me feel so relaxed. So thank you very much.
Oh, that's brilliant. This has been another episode of In the Spotlight with Ash Hardman from 2B Media. Ashley, thank you. And we'll talk again really soon. Take care.
Thanks for having me.